Okay, we're going to be nominating this week's heroes. Remember, if there's someone that you want to nominate to be your child's hero, just email me at twistedparenting@aol.com. And they will be entered in a raffle for $5,000. And this is not just for TP parents. This is not just for KIPs or kids who are struggling. This is for parents everywhere in the world. About any of your kids, you have to have the name, and you should ask the person permission that you can use their name, that you want to nominate them to be in the raffle. Number one for this week. My son did not enjoy the yeshiva experience much once he hit 9th grade. So he started working more than attending school. And by the time he was 16, he was working full-time, completely out of yeshiva. Obviously, as a parent, this was a very scary situation, and I was nervous, very nervous, about how my son would fare on his own without being in yeshiva. There was a fellow in town named Shlomi Einhorn who gave my son a job. He was always nice to him, he gave him rides, and always had a kind word for my son. Shlomi was a true hero for my son, especially in those days where I, his father, did not know how to accept my son properly. Now it's a few years later, and Baruch Hashem, we are all doing well, and a lot of that has to do with our hero, Shlomi Einhorn. 1 year ago, my 18-year-old son decided to drive home from way out of town where he had moved with his girlfriend. While driving through the States, on the way home, he got arrested in Kansas and was put in jail, and we did not know what to do. Baruch Hashem, we found Rabbi Shmulik Greenberg, a Chabad Shliach in Wichita, Kansas. Reb Shmulik, who lives over 100 miles away from the jail, drove all the way there to see him. He brought tefillin for him. Only a Chabad Shliach would even think of this, even though my son was not interested in putting on tefillin. And he helped me find a good attorney to represent my son, but it gets even better than that. When they let my son out on bail 2 days later, and my son wasn't allowed to leave Kansas yet, Reb Shmulik actually let him move into his own home, and his wife and his kids took to my son super nicely and took great care of him. They let him stay there for almost 3 weeks until we can get him out of Kansas and into the Chabad rehab in Los Angeles. He even let us keep my son's car there at his house until Rosh Hashanah, when we had it picked up to be brought back to us here in New York. Reb Shmulik still stays in touch now as well, and so we are proud to nominate Rabbi Shmulik Greenberg as our Chabad Shliach hero. I would like to nominate Rav Moshe Rabinowitz, a Yid who lives in Passaic and owns a company selling medical supplies. Rav Moshe hires many kips to work in his warehouse and office, and he hired my 17-year-old son, who worked for him for about a year or so. Rav Moshe paid him very nicely and treated him very nicely, and even gave the boys, completely voluntary, a 20-minute shir, shmooze, or time to ask questions on the parsha at lunchtime if they wanted. He paid anyone who came to the shir an extra $25 per day. And once they completed a parsha or whatever, he made them a pizza party. As a father, I am so thankful that there are Yidden out there like Rav Moshe to set a beautiful example of how Frum Yidden care about our struggling youth, and therefore we nominate Rav Moshe Rabinowitz as our hero. Beautiful. Such beautiful people out there.